Hello friends, welcome back to the Life Reset Collective. My name is Josh. Today we're talking about how to never let fear hold you back. Here at the Life Reset Collective, our mission is to help people who are needing to start over again, reset their life. Maybe you're resetting due to divorce, maybe you're resetting your life because you lost a job, maybe you lost your place to live, maybe you got into legal trouble. There could be many reasons why we have to start over again in life, and it is so hard. It is not easy. And this channel is dedicated to helping, encouraging, motivating people who need to do that. The reason I make this channel and these videos is because I have had to do 2 complete life resets in my life, both times due to divorce, and I know firsthand how hard it can be. And I have such a heart for people who are also on that journey, going through the shame, the embarrassment, the difficulties, the financial problems, the physical problems, the logistical problems, just having to start over again, feeling like you're basically starting from scratch, starting with nothing. If this in any way, shape, or form sounds like your experience, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, because that's what I create content for every single week. And let's get into point number 1 here. Basically, I want to talk about 9 points in your life where fear can creep in, and then what to do when it does that. So there are I have created these 9 steps to help you go through a life reset. And I'm going to talk about how fear can creep in at each step. So step number 1 is stabilize your space and body, right? Fear often shows up here as paralysis. What if I can't make things safe? What if I never feel okay again? These are the kinds of things you might think to yourself. It can stop you from taking even small steps towards stability, because chaos can feel oddly familiar. Sometimes you may be afraid to actually make a plan and start taking practical steps towards stabilization, because you just might think it's probably not going to go right. But here's the message. You don't have to solve everything today. Just take one small action to anchor yourself. Don't be afraid of trying to move toward a stabilized place, because the truth is, even if you do face setbacks, if you just keep on moving in that direction, you're going to get there. You really will. You're going to get there. Don't let fear hold you back from that. We need stability as a place to launch from as we start over and we begin the next chapter of our life. This leads us to step number 2, reconnect with your body. Fear can whisper, if I slow down and listen, I'll feel all the pain I've been avoiding. Sometimes this is a fear we have. This keeps us numb. It can cause us to ignore what our body is trying to tell us. Maybe that we need sleep, or maybe that we need to stop and face some of these demons, right? The guilt, the shame, the anger, the bitterness, the hopelessness, whatever it is that's chasing you around. But here's the message today. Listening to your body isn't about being overwhelmed. It's about finally giving yourself the safety you deserve. Sometimes we need to stop and have that conversation with ourselves, listen to our body. Maybe that means we need to sleep for 12 hours, or maybe that means we need to sit down and have a real serious heart-to-heart with ourselves about the shame that's been holding us back, or the hopelessness that's been keeping us from being motivated. And that leads us to point number 3. This step is grieve and get clear, but fear can show up in this step too. Fear says, if I let myself grieve, I'll never stop crying. Or if I'm honest about what happened, it will hurt too much. So this can lead to us sort of staying in a denial space, staying busy to avoid that clarity, like an ostrich with our head in the sand. But here's the message today, friend. Facing the truth actually sets you free. Grief is a bridge, not a pit. And let me just tell you right now, this channel is not about shaming you for your mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I have to really remember this one. If I let myself, I will go crazy, spiraling about the things I'm ashamed of in my past, things I wish I would have done better, things I regret, right? The guilt. But it's really important that we let ourselves grieve for those things, we process those things, right? If we spend all our time running from those things, it's going to build up, and then we're going to start to have errors in our brain and in our emotions. This leads us to step number 4. Forgive and begin again is the step. But here's how fear fits into this step. If I forgive, they'll think it was okay. Or if I start fresh, I might fail again. So in a way, the fear here is like, if you forgive yourself or you forgive others, then you are basically naive. It's like, I'm forgiving myself. That feels like letting myself off the hook. Or if I forgive them, I'm just going to open myself up to getting hurt again or victimized again or whatever the fear is, right? It clings to resentment as a shield against vulnerability. But friends, here's the message on this one. Forgiveness is for our peace, not for other people's approval. And beginning again is proof of your courage. If you are courageous enough to forgive yourself today, that's a huge step. That's not letting yourself off the hook for the past. That's called taking a positive step forward toward a better future. And this leads us to step number 5. And the step here is take charge of your resources. This is a really important part of any life reset. We do have to take charge of our resources, but fear can show up here. Fear will say, I don't know enough about money, time, or energy to manage it well. Some people have trouble managing the resources. It might also say, I'll lose what little I have if I make changes. There are some people who have a mindset of like, if I start working a lot and saving up my money, something's just going to happen and I'm going to lose it all. Whereas sometimes it can feel like there's safety in spending it all. But the problem then is that we do not build up the resources we need to make that leap to the next chapter of life. We kind of stay in the pit of the disaster that landed us here. The reason we're performing a life reset is because things crashed down and fell apart, and now we're trying to start again. And this fear, trusting yourself to take charge of your resources, to manage them wisely, even if you haven't done it in the past, it's going to be crucial to trust yourself, overcome that fear, and to begin that process of moving forward and trusting yourself to manage that journey. You are capable. You can do it. I know you can. And it might take some changes. It might be very challenging, but that's okay. You're capable of doing that. And that leads us to step number 6. Step number 6 in the life reset process is anchor into the sacred. And basically, this is a step that involves getting back to the roots of your faith, connecting with the beliefs of our ancestors, maybe connecting with, the lineage of your family, whatever it is that grounds you in the sacred. But here's where fear can creep in there too. Fear can say, what if I open myself up and nothing is there? Or what if I don't belong in spiritual places? What if I'm not good enough? Or maybe even, what if I discover something in my lineage? Maybe like that I'm cursed, or that my bloodline has done these things before. Or maybe I'm doomed to the blood of those who came before me. But friend, I'm here to tell you right now that this only keeps people from seeking deeper connections. It keeps people from really grounding themselves. You do not have to be any of these results. If you open yourself up to the spiritual and you detect that nothing's there, that doesn't have to be the realization of the fear. That could just be a calm peace where you find yourself and you find your higher power in that. It could also be that if you discover that you feel like you don't belong in spiritual places, guess what? That might be a defense mechanism. You might come to realize, you know what? It's not that I don't belong here. It's that I've been so traumatized by other people in this terrible chapter of my life that I'm escaping from, that now it's hard to trust, right? And maybe you do run into some people who don't include you. Okay, then you recognize it and you move on. But it's also important to realize, friend, that you deserve inclusion. You deserve to belong in spiritual spaces. I don't want fear to keep you from reconnecting with your beliefs, with your faith, with the sacred, with your spirituality, whatever that looks like for you. And this is going to lead us to point number 7. The step here is reimagine what's possible. We want to cultivate hope for the future. But here's where fear can creep in there. Fear here might say, I don't dare dream. I'll only be disappointed, right? Nothing ever goes right for me. What's the point in having dreams or hope? Because it all just goes downward anyway. It always gets ruined. It always gets destroyed. But friend, this is just going to convince you to keep your expectations small so they can't be hurt. You deserve so much better than that. I'm here to tell you today that this fear is lying to you. This is not the truth. The message here is that dreaming is an act of rebellion against fear. It's an act of rebellion against your dark past that you are escaping from right now by performing this reset. Start with, what if it worked instead of what if it fails? Have that optimism. Give yourself a chance. You deserve it. I don't want a single person watching this channel or watching these videos to ever think it's time to give up on myself. It is not. At no point in this journey do I want you to give up on yourself. But in order to move forward, we must have hope. So I want you to reimagine what's possible. I want you to think about that. Think about what you could chase to make your life awesome. And I want you to start believing in it. And then, we make little plans how we're going to get there. And then that hope starts to blossom into a real strategy. That's a crucial part of the life reset. This leads us to point number 8. Reclaim joy and aliveness. Now, fear can creep in here as well while we're trying to reclaim this in our life. Fear might say, if I let myself feel joy, something bad will definitely happen. I cannot even tell you how that fear just tries every single day to climb on my back and just drag me down. But here's the message here. Joy doesn't erase the past. It honors the fact that you survived it, and you deserve to survive it. You deserve to feel joy even after the bad things that have happened to you, even after mistakes you might have made. You do deserve it. You're worthy of it. This can be an especially difficult one after loss or trauma, because joy can feel very unsafe in these kinds of situations. So please don't let that fear get you down. It's so crucial to reclaim joy and aliveness on this life reset journey, because it's going to get hard. It's going to be lonely. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've had to reset your life. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching a video about it. And maybe your reset was different than mine. Mine was divorce, had to basically start all over from scratch with virtually nothing to my name, rebuild my whole life from the ground up, basically. Now, there's some exceptions, and it wasn't obviously that stark, but that's how it felt. And it was pretty close to that in some respects. Whatever yours looked like, friend, it's time for you to stop being afraid of joy. Let yourself have joy. This leads us to the final point, point number 9. Now, step number 9 in the life reset process, the life reset collective process, is build forward with rhythm. And this kind of is about making a plan, getting consistent, and taking slow, measurable steps towards your future, right? But fear will creep in here too. Fear will creep in and say, if I commit to a new rhythm, I might not keep it up. I might disappoint myself. I might fail. So it's better not to start. Maybe it's better to just stay where I am. At least then I won't be disappointed, or I won't be embarrassed. This keeps you from creating sustainable forward motion. Friend, one of the hardest things that we will ever do after experiencing a life collapse is to get up off the ground and start limping toward the future. It's going to be one of the hardest things. We're going to be so tempted to just lay there in the dirt and stay there. At least then, people won't look at us and laugh at us, right? They won't say, oh, look, they've gone through all these things, and wow, they're trying to do that. Oh, they're going to fail. It's so funny. Like, it's embarrassing, right? You know how you've been judged. You know how people judge you when you're starting over. When things aren't going great for you, people are going to judge you. They're going to look at you, and they're going to make little remarks about you. And that's going to make them feel better about themselves. Oh, at least I didn't have that happen to me. Wow. This can be very hurtful. But the truth is, if we allow those fears to keep us from beginning that slow crawl to the future, we're going to stay in that miserable place forever. You don't deserve that. You do not deserve that. I applaud every single person who gets up and starts making slow, deliberate movements. It starts small. If you're working out, it starts with maybe just a little walk every day or 2 push-ups. If you're trying to save up money, saving your first $50 might be a huge win. Other people might scoff, all they have are $50, but those of us who have been in really bad situations know just how much $50 can mean. The difference between eating and not eating in a day, right? If you've known real scarcity, you know. And here's the message, friends. Progress isn't perfection, and it does not have to be. Rhythm is about returning. returning to normal, but even more than that, rhythm's about getting to a new, better place, the place of hope, your future. It's not about stumbling. It's not about embarrassment and shame. These things will try to creep in, and then doubting yourself will try to creep in. But friend, you deserve so much more than that. You do not deserve to doubt yourself. You deserve to succeed. You deserve to have an incredible life at the other side of this horrible, chaotic mess that you're in. And you can do it. I believe in you. I believe I can do it. I believe I deserve it. I believe the same for you. So let's continue the journey together. I hope this video has brought you some hope and some peace, and I hope that you will use at least maybe even one or two of these tips, or maybe even feel inspired to come up with your own ideas for keeping fear from preventing you from moving forward to the chapter you deserve. Thank you for coming back for another one of my videos. Please go with peace and hope, my friends. I'll see you on the next one.